You see where your business can go. To get there, you may need
another 10 trucks.
At Century Insurance, we put more than 115 years of industry experience to work to help protect you as you
launch a new delivery service
or
expand into a new region
and reach your business goals. Century, right by you. Property and casualty coverages are underwritten and safety services are provided by a member of the Century Insurance Group, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. For a complete listing of companies, visit century.com. Policies, coverages, benefits, and discounts are not available in all states. See policy for complete coverage details.
Welcome to CoPlay Media, a look inside the world of video games, anime, and the Blerd community. And now, here are your hosts, Diers and Demo.
Welcome to CoPlay Media. Again, this is your host here, D and Demo. And today we have a great guest for us here. We got Chris, aka Super Bits from the store. How you doing today, sir? Chris?
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me on.
We're happy to have you. First things first, where are you from?
So my name is Chris. I'm the owner of Superbit Video Games, which is a retro video game store in Falls Church. And I've lived in Northern Virginia for, 18 years now. I moved up here from Charlottesville, where I was only there temporarily. And I moved up to get a government job here in DC. And then I did that for a long, long time. And then I started the store. So before that, I lived in upstate New York for a long time in Florida. So I've kind of been all over the place.
Okay. East Coast. East Coast of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, but always East Coast, no doubt.
Government worker.
Yeah.
Very coveted jobs in this area. But it was funny because I looked up this retro gaming store, right? And I said, all right, this is in Falls Church. I can do this. And I walked in, and surprisingly, I was like, there's nothing that wasn't here. It had everything. I was highly impressed with Chris's store. And I was like, we got to have this guy on, man.
Yeah. Your store is very
so nice
effective online.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that.
Was there a particular moment or situation that inspired you to start a retro game store?
Well, I think that, my whole life, I thought it would be cool to own a business, right? But only in the sense that, a kid thinks it's cool to do anything. I just thought that idea was cool. And then I've always been into video games, and I got really into retro games a number of years ago. And then just one random day, I'd been working for the government for, 16 and a half years, and I loved my job. It was excellent. Loved working there. Didn't have any problems with it at all. And I was just like, hey, I'm at the age now where I'd like to try something new with my life. Like, we only live once. I know that's a cliche and a saying, but I really felt that way, and I still do, which is, before you know it, we're going to be 60, 70, 80, and it's going to be like, man, what did I actually do with my life? Did I just work for the government? Which is fine, of course, but I wanted to try this. Like, even if it failed terribly, I wanted to try it just to do something, And I was going to do it with my family, but they're just too busy to help, and they don't live in the area. So just like, okay, I'm going to do it on my own. Let's give it a shot. We'll give it a year. We'll see what happens. And, because I'm so into retro gaming anyway, it was the best of both worlds. And it's been super exciting. Even if it had failed terribly, it would have been a worthwhile experience leading up to it, learning so many new things, meeting so many new people. It's just been a really awesome life experience. So.
That's amazing. Man, Chris got the mindset, man.
I didn't always have that. I was perfectly content, for those 15, 16 years at the government, perfectly content, very happy. But this one day I was like, hey, I really should do something now, because I'm going to be real old before I know it. And then I won't have the chance to do something.
That's amazing. And so with the store and you following your dreams and being able to go out there and start up this store and, everything that you've done, do you have time to play any games right now? Or is there anything that you wish you were playing right now?
Oh, man, I think we all wish we had more time to play more games. But yeah, definitely make it a point to play games. When I'm not at the store, which is a lot, of course, I'm doing stuff with my dog. And when I'm not doing stuff with my dog, when he's finally tired out, then I play games, right? Okay. So, I personally play classic World of Warcraft quite a bit. Have you guys ever played?
I have not.
I've played WoW. I've played like online RPGs before, and I never stick with them past like level 20. Like I'm
sure.
Like I play them, I love them, but it's just it never encapsulates me the way that some of my friends, like some other people, Drew, but some other people, you know, they enjoy it a lot more. I am actually not a PC gamer. I don't like to play video games on PC if I can help it.
Really? So for me, I think games like World of Warcraft, I feel like I'm so far behind on getting into it that it's hard for me to take that leap of I'm gonna get into this in fear of, I think, just being so bad. So I'll play PC games. But if I do play PC games, it's usually like I'm a simulator type of guy. So like if it's like something like, let's say SimCity, or I play this game all the time called Locomotion. It's like you're a tycoon running this transportation business. And it's just like running a business. Like it's pretty difficult. But if I play on a PC, that's what I'm playing. But as far as like consoles, I'm either into a sport or some type of basketball or football game, sports games. But
I see the NBA Jam in the background, man.
I'm pick up the sticks as soon as we're done. Gotta fire.
And you know, I play like a lot of retro games too. Like I've been playing like a lot of PS2 and Dreamcast lately. I don't know if you guys played those back in the day at all.
Yeah.
You guys still retro game at all? Like, do you play anything now?
Yes.
I mean, if you were to put a Dreamcast in front of me, I would play the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have a Dreamcast at my mom's house. I have the Super Nintendo here that I found on, I think it was Craigslist or something a couple years ago. But yeah, for the most part, I'm a Super Nintendo guy as far as the retro games.
So many good games on the Super Nintendo, aren't there?
Yeah.
Super good games. So Chris, one of the things I wanted you to do, you being a vintage game store owner, is I kind of wanted you to kind of like equip us, you know, like I want to go out there and make money doing this. Like, is there a way that you can equip us with the skills to go out there? Like if we were to stumble upon some games to best, you know, like figure out, like, you know, if I was at a yard sale and somebody was selling Ready to Rumble, you know, like how would I know, like that's $12, you know, I'm gonna take that to Chris to get 20 from it, you know.
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is go back to 2017 in a time machine, and then you'll be able to make some money. Because now everyone thinks that they just have absolute gold all the time. So I'm curious about what's going to happen this upcoming yard sale season, but people are so much more knowledgeable now, and this is a highly educated area that we live in, and people are a little reluctant to just give stuff away that they paid so much for at one point sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That said, there's a couple of really important things. One, you know, game condition. 2, game quality. So Ready to Rumble is an awesome game. Yeah. You have to think about how many copies of that game were printed. So Ready to Rumble was printed for the PS2 and for the Dreamcast in high quantities. So it's probably not a hard game to find.
Right.
So you have to imagine a game like that that's a good quality game, maybe worth about $15. So you can get it for a buck or two in nice condition, then go for it, you know? What you really want to look for is you want to look for those Super Nintendo RPGs, and then you're going to make some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any retro role-playing games, I mean, not any, but many tend to be much more valuable for a couple of reasons. One, they were printed in lower numbers because the American audience, especially at the time, was not nearly as keen on them as the Japanese audience.
Right.
And 2, because they have so many more hours of gameplay, you know? A game like Chrono Trigger, you might be able to play for 30 or 40 hours. Whereas a game like Ready to Rumble, you might have fun for 5 to 10 hours with friends and maybe not so much fun alone at all. So there's a lot more replayability. So that's definitely anything that you maybe haven't heard of would be a good thing to pick up for $1 or $2. Like you see some weird PS2 game, horror games, RPGs, anything like that. Anything that's old, not as old as Atari. Atari 2600 stuff, not worth very much. But you find some Nintendo stuff for cheap, you should grab it.
Okay.
Yeah, Nintendo is absolute king. I mean, people like the other stuff, but nothing compares to the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and N64 is probably our most popular system.
Yeah.
For games and consoles. It's just nobody has even come close to Nintendo as far as how much the fans love that stuff, you know?
So as far as like popularity, Nintendo is king, probably followed by like Super Nintendo, then you're going into Sega, and then you're going into all the other systems.
Yeah, I think that it changes with the years as well, because there's a certain point in time where people grow up and they reach that point where they have disposable income, right? So that's usually about a 20 to 30 year window. So the original NES, for example, started getting really popular again, I don't know, around 2012 maybe, because all of those kids that were growing up in the 80s started to hit, you know, their early 30s where they had a lot of money to spend. So we're kind of seeing that now with the N64 and the GameCube. And possibly that's going to start pretty soon with the PS2 as well. So we just have to see. We just don't know what's going to happen. And there's so many external influences on this stuff. For example, you guys start talking about, let's just say you start talking about PlayStation 1 a lot on your show, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get people excited about the PlayStation 1. People haven't been thinking about it. They're like, oh man, I need to go out and play Twisted Metal. I need to play Crash. Like, let me go out and start finding these games. So that starts happening. And then YouTube has such a tremendous effect on retro games that I don't know, a large percentage of our customers are younger people that are under 20 that are coming and looking for, you know, Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. It's like, it's been the most surprising thing to me about having a store is how young some of our audience is and how much they know because they watch YouTube.
Yeah.
That's tight.
I think it's something about how simple those games were back in the day. Because even though they were so simple and, you know, easy to pick up as well, I think that's what made it fun. And then you got a chance to play it with other people, especially the N64. Stuff like that. The N64 was one of my favorite consoles for many reasons. But as far as like retro games, like you said, there's a lot of channels on YouTube that cater to these older games. And I think it just piques the interest of the younger crowd because that's all they do is watch YouTube anyway. So they're probably watching Fortnite videos and then end up going down this rabbit hole that takes them back to 1993 or something like that.
Well, I think part of it is the callbacks. Like the callbacks, like you're playing Smash Brothers, and you're wondering who Ness is.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
That's a great example. Yeah.
Like, why does anybody care about Ness? Why does he even matter? Like,
well, just Smash alone is a great example because it introduces people to so many characters from so many franchises they would not otherwise know, right?
Yep.
They're even doing Sega a favor because they're starting to put Sega characters in there as well. So, I mean, but that makes sense, especially with everybody that loves to play Smash. You know, that whole community is dope anyway. But I never thought about it, I guess, because, you know, we came up playing with these characters. They're not new to us, but to somebody that's playing Super Smash Brothers on the Switch or something, they don't know who Little Mac is.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know who Fire Emblem folks are. Like, they don't know at all. They don't even know who Mega Man is. Which is crazy to say, but it's like, you don't know who Mega Man is? Or Samus. Nobody knows who Samus is if you didn't know.
Yeah, because they're never going to release Metroid Prime 4.
That brings up a good question. Do you think that when it comes to all these remakes, because, you know, Mega Man X had a remake, all of its games coming together in a package. You can get like Mega Man X1 through 9. Do you guys feel as if the experience compared to the actual traditional games would be better or worse, or like the same?
So I have a couple thoughts on that. One, it's super interesting from a value point of view that the remakes do not tend to decrease the value of the original. In some cases, they even increase it. So Street Fighter has been released about a billion different ways on a billion different compilations. And yet still, Street Fighter, there's 3 Street Fighter games on Dreamcast might each be worth, $70 or $80 or complete in case, right? Even though you can buy the compilation on Switch for $15 or something. Huh. So that's a good example. The other thing is a lot of people like myself just prefer the original hardware. Like, Andre, you may be able to relate with your Super Nintendo. It's just nothing quite like putting the cartridge in the Super Nintendo and holding that controller. There's nothing beats it.
Yep. I actually got rid of, I'm going to get rid of, my boys don't know this. So I have 3 kids, 10, 6, and 5. They are not interested in those mini Super Nintendo and Sega consoles. I bought them one. They're not interested. I bought them one of each. But then, crazy enough, neither was I. Because it wasn't the same as the original Super Nintendo. Something about it was cheesy to me. I don't know what it was. But I couldn't bring myself to play it myself instead of going to get the Super Nintendo that I have. And I can't explain it. But
you know what? You do kind of bring up a point, Demo. Like, I remember in the arcade, you guys remember like the Aliens versus Predator arcade game? Mm-hmm. The arcade beat 'em up joint. And like, I think I saw it. It was like a classic game or something, or I think it was like Capcom beat 'em ups. Or anyway, I got Capcom beat 'em ups because it reminded me of that nostalgia. Yeah. And then I got it. I don't even know if that game was on there now that I look back. I don't even know.
That game has never gotten a proper retail release.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my kingdom for that game to be on any console.
I know. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Man,
listen, man. I don't know what it is. It's something about playing it on, having that physical cartridge and putting it in and firing it up. It's just different. It just brings something out of you. Like, I want to play that game. I remember my brother had this game called River City Ransom. And I swear, I don't know which came first, Double Dragon or that on the Nintendo. But River City Ransom stands out as this beat 'em up. I guess they were a gang. They were gang.
Beat 'em up gang.
They were street toughs, yeah.
Yeah. So, but
they were like bad dudes.
Games like that where you had to like go to vitamin shops to power up and buy special brass knuckles and crap. Like, we didn't think about that as a kid, but there's something about those old games, man. And having that Nintendo that didn't have the games I was expecting to have on there kind of took the value away from it. Because it's like, who curated these games? Like, why did you pick these to be on the system? Not
the license.
Because I don't think they even came with anything like Madden or NBA Live or something like that on it. It was just random fighting and platformer games that I cared nothing about.
Yeah, it was still the Wild West back then.
Yeah.
Do you guys miss doing the whole like blowing with the in the whole
miss it? That's all we do with the story.
Yeah, I just did it today. Man.
We actually have to tell people when they buy original Nintendos about that if they've never had one. And we have to remind some people, like, look, this was a little bit shaky 30 years ago. You can imagine now it might take some effort to get this to work. Yep. Like, we actually have to, we go so far as to open up all the systems and clean them, and we boil the pins, the receiving pins. Yeah. So just because we don't want our customers to have a bad experience, because too many people when we first opened, we were getting too many people frustrated. Like, oh man, I can't get the game to work. I'm like, okay, I know this sounds crazy, but you have to blow in it, you have to wiggle it around a little bit. Yeah. People just didn't understand.
It's the whole process. That. And then you hit the wall a few times.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
It's a whole ritual, man. It's a whole ritual behind that. You know?
And it's so exciting when that game actually comes on. You're like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like, I did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's all me. Yeah.
It's an accomplishment for sure. These kids have no idea.
Well, I wanted one more thing before I forget. Another influence on kids that are into this stuff, I think, is that in the past, 5 years, so many modern games have taken that indie route where they develop games to look like 8 and 16-bit games. The younger kids are totally used to that graphic style now, which is great because, I don't know, 10 years ago, I think almost any kid would have looked at 16-bit and been like, ew, like, what is this?
Yeah. I'm wondering if, let's say, because I know a lot of Xbox developers do it. I wonder if Nintendo or somebody slid some of the old games in there, would anybody realize that it's old?
That is hysterical. I wonder.
$5 per, like, oh, this new indie company, and it's really one of the old ones. They just re-released it on a new console.
I mean,
there's about 700 NES games. They're even more unlicensed, so I'm sure that they could do it.
And like you said, some that really didn't take hold in the US back in the day might actually work now.
Yeah.
Would
they? Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it's that old saying, everything old is new. And I think it takes about 20 years. Like every 20 years, you basically just recycle what was popular 20 years ago, which makes sense to me. I think that's what's happening with the games.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this question, especially you, Chris, because you got the capabilities. If there was a vintage game tournament that you could hold where people could play multiple different types of games, all to win like a grand prize of money or whatever, what games would you choose? I guess if it was like 4 or 5 games, what games would you choose to hold in a competitive gaming tournament style?
So we will definitely do stuff like this at the shop once COVID calms down. I think whatever we do, we'll try and keep it in the vein of a fun thing, not a super serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the most obvious choice you guys can probably guess is Melee, Super Smash Brothers Melee. You guys familiar with that game?
Yeah, everybody is.
Exactly, and it's still extremely popular at the store, and it's still extremely popular in tournaments, right? It's just the game. It's just the one. Even though Ultimate's so good, it's just Melee would be definitely one. And then you've got, your GoldenEye is another one I think people could play. Because, and that's, there's ways to cheese that game. You play Odd Job or something, but I'm sure you could, we would do it at the store for fun, right?
Yeah.
I think a game like Black Ops, to me, I didn't play a lot of Black Ops. I just sort of was in the wrong age for it. But like the guys that work at the shop, they grew up on Black Ops and Black Ops 2, and they just love it. So I think that would be, and that's a debate of like, is that actually a retro game at this point? Like, how old are those games, right? The 360 came out in 2006. Is that actually retro? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I don't know.
What is retro game? Is there an age for retro games? I'm guessing if it's not new, it's retro then, right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like if it's several generations old.
Yeah.
But there's no official definition, really. I mean, retro as a word doesn't even mean the way that we use it. It's sort of changing now to mean something new. I mean, retro is meant to emulate something old, not actually be that thing.
That's true.
So, but now in popular culture, retro is just sort of known as that popular thing that used to be popular. So,
yeah. I feel like as far as gaming, anything retro would have to be PS2 back, I think.
I agree. I think anything that's like two system generations behind, like we're on PS5 right now, PS4, PS3, like around PS2, PS3, like that's
like
vintage.
How far do we have to go back to where we say these graphics are disgusting? Like how many systems ago? Like, let's say Bushido Blade. I used to play that a lot.
Yeah.
Disgusting now. Yeah. Like
PS1 was the system I was going to name. The PS1 looks pretty rough in a lot of places.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It could be pretty bad if,
And the PS2 can be pretty good.
Right. Right.
True.
So I agree with you about retro. There are a lot of people that think that PS2 is not even a retro system, but
Yeah.
it's just totally open to interpretation, I suppose. But I think the one other game maybe for the multiplayer tournament would be like Mario Kart 64. I think would be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart, hands down. Mario Kart. Oh, definitely. I thought you were gonna say Mario Party. But
Oh yeah, people. I mean, Mario Party would be fun too. I mean, Mario Party falls more in line like we want to do like some fun like social events at the store where you come in and play Mario Party, or you come in and play Pilot Wing 64, and you see you can get the best score on using the jetpack or whatever. So that's like sort of a different type of thing than a tournament, more of like a social type of gathering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mario Kart is just dope. Always.
Everybody loves
Always.
Mario.
What was
Mario
that?
Kart.
What was the there was a racing game where it was like multiple. It was kind of like a Smash Brothers, but racing, where they took characters from different games and put them in one
Really?
place. Yeah, because I think it had like Banjo and Kazooie and just all these different characters just racing each other. And you could have like a hang glider or a hovercraft.
Are you thinking of Diddy Kong Racing?
Probably.
Yeah, that's one of those different vehicles. Yeah.
Maybe.
Some people think that game is better than Mario Kart. I mean, they're crazy, of course, but there are people that think that.
It was innovative.
It was fun.
It was innovative.
Yeah, it was great. It's a great game.
It was definitely innovative.
It wasn't better.
I don't know. You know what? I think Mario Kart started trying to do what they did more recently. Because I think Mario Kart even has.
Yeah, you're right. Mario Kart 8 started to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So they were ahead of their time, man.
I guess they kind of were.
Yeah.
So, would you be willing? Because I'm sure any convention would be happy to have just like somebody with some vintage games just have an area.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see that at like Comic-Con, Blerd Con, any of the cons. I would have loved to see just an area with the projector and some vintage games where people could play some old school games. Like that would have been a blast to have.
I would be front and center.
Absolutely. I know, in my opinion, to me, of all games, of everything, I think that Dreamcast is the best system out there. It's got 4 controller ports. It can play online. Before people found out that you could, burn games on it, that was really convenient if you didn't know. Because we were hacking the heck out of it. Phantasy Star Online.
Sketchiness all over the place.
Oh man, it was the first way I learned how you could player kill people. Oh my goodness. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was on there. Soul Calibur was on there. Just for me personally, that was my favorite system on the out and out. Do you guys have like a personal favorite system that I think is the best console out of all the consoles?
Oh, like ever?
Ever. I think the Dreamcast was the best system ever. Whoa. It just had a very poor marketing team.
Yeah. Dreamcast had a lot of potential. It had a lot of potential. But they killed it somehow. I don't know how they did it.
The mighty PlayStation 2 is what killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That DVD player just put Sega under. I mean, they were already on their last legs, but the Dreamcast was actually skewing successful, and the PS2 just was a juggernaut. I mean, just couldn't be stopped.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
PlayStation has always been really good in getting all the games. Like all the games that people want to play, they get all the games.
And all the exclusives, yeah.
Yep.
They corner the market up.
And they had the DVD player, and then the PS3 had the Blu-ray player. Those were major things at the time.
Oh yeah, because I played it, man. Like we all played that DVD player.
Oh yeah.
We all played that Blu-ray player. I wasn't gonna buy a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, no. Well, I think that was the start of the all-in-one, I don't need anything else console.
Yeah.
Like Sony was like, you know what? We're just gonna put everything in this one box. Like, why Why waste our time making separate DVD players and stuff? We just put it in this game system. It's a one-stop shop. You know what I'm saying? Blu-ray. You can watch all the new movies on here. You know what I'm saying?
Play all the songs you want.
Anything. You can do anything on this thing. Wow. But of all time, I still got to say the 64. Something about the 64 has a special place in my heart. I feel like it had a lot of variety as far as the games. I played a lot of Star Fox on there.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of Mario 64 on there.
That was amazing.
Mario Kart was awesome. That Mario Kart was amazing to me. That was where the first Smash came out. You know, I was playing Pokemon Stadium on there. I was a big Pokemon guy. You know what I'm saying? The 64 had everything I could ever ask for. So I got to go with the 64.
I feel you.
For myself.
Yeah, and I think that the majority of the people that come to our store, it's the 64. Yeah. And for me, I think my heart is with Dreamcast. It just is. And, I love the PS. I love a lot of consoles, but, I mean, Jairus is right on the money. It's the Dreamcast. It's just got something special. It just does. It's unfortunate that the controllers have the cable coming out of the wrong end, but other than that, pretty much.
Yeah, true.
So hold on. So I always had a question about the Dreamcast. Dreamcast was my brother's system, right? So you guys had this cartridge that fit into the controller.
Oh, that was dope. That was dope, man.
What was that?
Yeah.
I never
understood. Memory card.
Oh.
It's called the VMU, the Visual Memory Unit.
Wow.
And those things are still operational today, believe it or not. Most of the time, you just stick them in there, you get a little graphic on the screen, and sometimes they even have little mini games on them. They're revolutionary.
I do remember that. I do remember you could play little games on there.
And you could take them out and bring them to the arcade as well.
What?
Stick them in an arcade machine and transfer your files that way. Yeah, it was really cool.
That joint was tight.
I mean, Dreamcast. Unfortunately, it went up against the PS2, but I feel like the N64 too still was combining the new and the old because it still had the cartridges, but certain games you needed the expansion pack to bring out all of the graphics.
Yeah.
You had to buy an expansion pack. Yeah.
Oh, we cannot keep those in stock at the store. They're just selling crazy.
Gotta have it, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the most iconic console of all time is by far the NES, the original Nintendo Entertainment System. It just doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Hands down. Everybody played Duck Hunt. Everybody played Mario. Like, everybody played.
People are so super excited to come and see those games. I mean, it's almost like every day people are asking, hey, do you have Duck Hunt? Do you have the phaser, the zapper?
Yeah,
and they're super excited when we have that stuff. And then you can see their heart break when you say, that actually won't work unless you have a CRT television, because the technology in the zapper only won't work with modern television.
Have an old TV.
Yeah.
Don't you have to have an old TV to? Well, you don't have to, but people still play the old Super Smash Brothers because for whatever reason, CRT TV works better with it.
Yeah. When people have the Melee tournaments, they have just tons and tons of CRTs lined up.
Bring your television with you.
So what CRT television does is that they move, or what video games nowadays is that when they press buttons, they move too slowly on our HDMI 4K televisions.
Oh.
So in these CRT televisions, it's like the movement is right on point. So fighting games, the frames and everything for it are perfect. Right? Isn't that how it works, Chris? Like it's
absolutely, and it's just what Andre was talking about too, with it just having a different feel. Those milliseconds of difference make a huge difference. Games are, some of the best games. It's just gameplay, right? Yeah. So if a game doesn't feel quite right, it ruins the entire experience.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Some people say that's why I'm not getting better at Rocket League. Not enough frames per second or something on my TV.
You play on Xbox, right?
Yeah.
PC. I played on PS4, Xbox, and PC. PC is by far the best to play on, just because you have such tight control over your vehicle.
It's a totally different feel. Like sometimes I can tell because it's like I know I hit this dash button just in time to hit that ball, and I just missed it. Like I whipped it. You know, it doesn't hit the ball as hard as I thought it would. It's like it's almost like I have to play with anticipation more so than that.
Right.
I have to anticipate everything, and I feel like my brain is working too hard.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. On the PC, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're in the game more. Do you have cross-platform play disabled?
No. I'm playing.
That will help. That may help you get out of platinum because you're currently playing against PC players.
So I'm at a disadvantage. All right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Good. And I always wondered that. I was like, is it better to play this game with a controller or mouse and keyboard? What do you think?
100% controller. I played with mouse and keyboard for a long time, and I was like, oh my God, when I finally got the controller on my PC, I was like, oh. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's not just me. So it's just me being too slow with my hardware. My hardware is messing me up. All right. There's no way. I've been playing this game for 3 years, and I'm stuck at platinum. Stuck.
It's not your skills, man.
It's like purgatory. I can't get out of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I gave the game up a few years ago.
So, I guess just to summarize, we all pretty much agree that emulators, pale in comparison to the actual video game, right? Like there is like, because obviously there are the upper hands that you do have from emulators, is that you do have access to just you got access
everything.
to it.
Yeah, there is a place for emulators, but people like, I think me, I prefer to have that. I like having a catalog of something. You know what I mean? Like a physical, tangible catalog is almost like holding a piece of history, almost.
Yeah.
Like my boys are not allowed to touch my Super Nintendo. Like I can't chance them breaking anything. Like it's mine. It's a treasure. Don't touch it ever.
You won't be able to appreciate its greatness.
Right. Like you have Nintendo Switches. Don't touch my Super Nintendo. There's no need for you to do that.
Exactly. You're not going to feel that way about a RetroPie, are you?
Right. No. And you know what? I've thought about getting one, but it won't be the same. It's not the same. I feel like I'm cheating myself or something.
Oh, man.
We get a lot of people talking about that in the shop, and I think just like you guys said, there's a place for them, but most people like the original stuff. And the other thing is they make these things called Everdrives now. Are you guys familiar with those?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a company, I can't recall their name offhand because I don't own any of their products, but they make these things called Everdrive Cartridges. So they'll make one for the N64, for example. And what the Everdrive cartridge is, it has every single N64 game on it, and it plays it through the N64 console, presumably using FPGA, which is a one-to-one conversion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't have that. No, they are expensive, but they make them for a number of consoles. So a lot of people that just don't have the space for whatever reason, or a lot of people, maybe they've gotten married or had a kid and they have to get rid of their stuff. So they'll maybe switch over to that. But the people that come to the store feel the same way as you, Andre. They just want the physical thing.
You gotta have it, man.
Isn't
that sad, man? You get married and start having kids and you gotta give up what you really
makes me sad. Now when people, we get a lot of trade-ins at the store, and some of them I feel sad about because you can tell the person doesn't want to get rid of it, but their spouse is like, look, it's time for you to get rid of this stuff.
Oh man.
That's gotta be painful.
Yeah, and like we said with the RPGs, these people, like, let's just say someone's trading in, a lot of 30 Super Nintendo games and 10 of them are RPGs. I mean, they play through all those games. That's 300-400 hours of their life, and maybe if they played them multiple times, that they look on so fondly, and now that they're giving it up, it's really, literally taking a piece of them away. It's really sad.
Right.
They know they can't go back. You know what I'm saying? Like every couple of years, ever since I played Final Fantasy Tactics, I always knew that I could go back and play Final Fantasy Tactics. You know what I'm saying? To give it up. I even got it on my phone. Like I got it on my phone. Like I still want to be able to play it.
Yeah. You got to have it, man. You got to have it. Like right now I have maybe 3 books worth of Pokemon cards. my boys, can I look at your Pokemon? Absolutely not. You're not allowed.
Those have gotten really valuable in the last year. So
I'm saying, like, and you would have never known. Like, this is stuff that you just kind of forget that you have. But when you open it up and you look at, you know, these old cards from your childhood, it brings something back in you. It almost reignites whatever that was back then.
That's the power of nostalgia, man. It smells the same. It looks the same. It brings you back to that time.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what's so cool about having the store is we get to see that almost every day. People coming in, just having that feeling, seeing what they haven't seen in so long. I mean, a lot of people are collectors and they know exactly, like, they're in the retro gaming thing, but a lot of people haven't seen this stuff in 20 years and they're like, oh, let's check out the shop. And they're like, oh my gosh, Paperboy for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, I mean, they just get so excited. It's such a joy to see every day.
It's almost like you own a museum.
Yeah, it feels like that in a way.
That's awesome.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Owning a museum, like, hey, you want this vintage piece of art?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Essentially, yeah. But that's how I feel about my the Pokemon cards. To me, that stuff is more like in the line of art. I'm not gonna crack that thing open and build a deck or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And go play somebody. It's literally there for show on the mantle, you know.
It's for you to be able to talk smack. You could be like, yo, you know, I could have a match right now. Like, we could battle right now if you want. Right now. I could go. I have the deck. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying?
I got everything I need right here in this book. But yeah, it's interesting. I like that the old is becoming new again. I think it's a good thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Going into the next segment is anime expectations. So usually along with video games, you know, anime is usually somewhere around in that field. Usually in industries, video games feed off of shows and vice versa, that kind of thing. And I probably won't cover all of them. I don't know. Have you guys been watching these shows? I know I'm a huge anime fan. I just want to gauge where you guys are at to know how much I should explain the shows.
Okay.
So,
well, I can tell you that I've heard of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I've heard of it being an outstanding show, and it's on my queue on Crunchyroll, but I have not.
You need to watch that.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I started watching it on the HBO Max because they have some of the Crunchyroll shows on there. But Jujutsu Kaisen is a good show. I'm happy with that. The concept and everything is great. It's demons and people exercising demons. Like, I love it. With karate type stuff. I don't know. Like,
karate type. It is kind of like karate, you know what I'm saying? But it's not. But it is. But I like the power system. I'm gonna say I like the power system. I like the main character. I love the action, you know, and I think it has the possibility to be one of those. You know how Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece was the big three for years.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jujutsu Kaisen has the possibility of being in the next three anime. Like, this is like, I love the main character. Like, everything about it is tight right now. Everything is good. I just saw like the last episode. The action was amazing. That bulky guy that's fighting Yaji is like awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, that game, like, I got great expectations for it. This is gonna be it. Like, this is gonna be the
I think Jujutsu Kaisen is a good successor to Bleach.
Yuji, I'm tripping. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bleach.
Yeah. I think it's a good successor to Bleach. Because I'm not sure if you are you familiar with Bleach? at all?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it as a video game. I've never seen the show though.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Bleach video game?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There's one on the Wii and the PS3. They're just 2D fighting games essentially.
Ah, okay. Okay.
I would play
Average.
I had no idea.
Average. Yeah, they're not. I mean, have you guys played the Dragon Ball Fighters or any of the Dragon Ball fighting games?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Half of
It's in that vein, but not as good. I would say the Bleach games.
Okay.
Our Bleach games are not as good. I mean,
Yeah, I haven't put a lot of time into them, but
the show for Bleach was really Bleach had a lot of style. Like Bleach had a lot of style, had a lot of panache. Like all the characters kept changing clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, they actually put effort into their style. Like,
yeah, like it was a lot of effort into it. Definitely keep an eye out for Jujutsu Kaisen. World Trigger is one of my favorite animes, definitely one of the sleeper type. It came out a couple of years ago, and what I like about it is not only does it have a very strategic kind of fighting style, but they have a really good power system. And it's pretty much like there's a source of energy. They find out that there's other planets that use the same source of energy. And then they're able to mold this energy into whatever was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people have different fighting styles, different items that they use that all revolve around this energy. Mostly it's a gun. A lot of times it's guns, hence World Trigger. But it's a
type of firearm.
usually some type of firearm. You know what I'm saying? Like a sniper rifle or something.
well, if you could make something out of energy, what would you make? I mean, come on, machine gun, right? Yeah.
Hey man, I'm making a blade every time. I don't know about you guys. Something about an energy
A blade would be pretty sweet.
is badass to me. I need an energy blade if I can help it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that they got an energy blade, and so they have the energy, and then they have like these things called black triggers, and black triggers are like crazy warping reality. So there's like a guy who's got a sword, and he's just slicing through everything. Like he's just slicing things in half, but he only has like 8 sword slashes, you know, but it'll slice anything. You know, like, so there's like a weird limit, you know, but World Trigger.
Okay, I was about to say that guy sounds really overpowered.
Really overpowered. Extremely.
Like everything.
Right. Like just like an anime, you know, but one thing that I like about it is that because everybody uses this energy, they also get like some kind of weird side effect. They call it a side effect that you can do. So one guy can just hear really, really well. The other guy, there's one guy who can tell when anybody is lying. So he'll be like, "Yeah, I can tell you're lying." You know, like he hears it. Like it's just like a ding or something goes off. He's just like, "Nah, that's not right."
He's the interrogation guy.
Yeah, you know, and really just the main character, he sucks in a sense that he is weak, but still very strategic.
Okay.
And is not one to cry about it. So I really like that.
Oh, okay.
And
he got to work hard to be any good. Okay.
He got to work hard. Like he got to work hard, and he's a person of high principles, and he's not going to, you know, some main characters, they complain, they cry all through it.
Yeah.
And be like, "Oh, I had a bad background, and that's why." No, he doesn't do any of that. Like he's just a good person who is smart. He just happens to be weak as all heck, you know. And Dr. Stone is probably up there with Big 3 as well.
Really, I'm watching that right now.
Like, there's something about learning in an anime. Like, there is something about just, I did not know how people made penicillin or the different ways to make penicillin or a cell phone or a sword or ramen or how to freeze dry ramen or how to make hydrochloric acid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I was watching Dr. Stone the other day and I was like, did this guy just halfway teach us how to make a bomb or something? It's one of those shows where you kind of got to be careful.
Teach you how to make a battery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff. It's one of those animes that you would look at, and then you would walk away not knowing that you learned a whole lot, because it's just wrapped in a good story of pretty much the world. Something happened. We don't know what happened in the world. Everybody got turned to stone.
Yeah.
Within that time, like 3,000 years passed or something.
Yeah, 3,700 to be exact.
3,700 years. They all come, and then slowly an event happens where, I don't want to give it away, in a cave that releases one of the guys. And then he releases his homeboy, and then it just starts this whole thing until there's a really smart guy versus like a super strong kind of hunter-gatherer kind of type dude. And it's a face-off between science and intelligence and like strength and just like resilience and
like brains versus brawn type.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's great because it's like the people are overpowered that are bad. Like they'd be like, yo, I'm super strong and I know gymnastics. Or it'd be like, yeah, I'm super strong and I can, I've been doing bow and arrow forever. Like,
right. So Dr. Stone is the reason I actually subscribed to Crunchyroll the other day.
Yeah.
I figured I got to start watching more anime, man. I'm not doing much, so I got to get into it deep.
That's one to dive in on, man. That's something to dive in on. It's definitely worth it. Like Dr. Stone, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Of course, there's a deep story with Dr. Stone, family and all that good stuff is in it. The next one I want to go into is Attack on Titan.
Such a good show.
Such a good show.
No, I know this one, but I have not seen the current season yet.
Yeah.
So I'll just cover my ears while you guys talk about it. I know you won't be able to hold back.
I won't ruin it for you, Chris. I won't ruin it for you. In fact, because I don't remember, if you could please
you don't even have to talk about the current season. It's just the fact that this show is about these giants that kind of just appear out of nowhere and start eating people is terrifying as heck.
Yeah, and the animation in that show is just incredible.
It's almost like they're dealing with giant zombies, almost. Like it's a zombie show, but with giants, to me.
Yeah.
But they're so happy. The giants are so happy to be eating the people. That's what's so creepy about it, right?
Like, can you imagine? You just standing somewhere and this big thing just falls out of the sky all of a sudden, or breaks through a wall. Like, and just start eating people, and it smiles the whole time.
I think it's tight. Yeah, like to be on the lower part of the food chain. You know what I'm saying? Like to get on the food chain, dog. Like that's scary.
Yeah, that show is terrifying, but I think that's what keeps me interested.
When you mentioned the lower part of the food chain, that's literally and metaphorically in that show, right? Because they have all the different barriers where like the higher class of people are separated from the lower class, and lower class are expendable and all that, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I don't want to ruin anything else. Because I don't want to ruin it for you, Chris. It's just story is real great. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you. As soon as it's finished, I will be watching the entirety of it, probably over a weekend.
Yeah, it's. Because I've been watching it, and it's one of those shows where it actually hurts me to watch it as it comes on, because then I know I have to wait.
That's why I'm not doing it. I can't take that pain.
Yeah, there is
waiting.
It's painfully good. It's and this is the final season too, so it's crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Do you guys know if the creator of that is working on anything new, or is this just it?
I don't know.
That's a good question. As far as I know, he's not. I'm definitely going to check up and see. I'm not actually sure. But I
might even be worth seeing if he's done something already, to be honest. Because a lot of these artists, work on other stuff. And then this one just is the one that got popular.
Right. And then half of them probably hate the thing that got popular, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like
But
this
it was-
crap. Hajime Isayama. That is the creator, the manga artist for it. And wow. Did you know that Attack on Titan actually became the best-selling manga series of all time with 100 million copies in circulation as of December of 2019?
Really?
Wow.
That's
I don't know how he beat One Piece. Like, I don't know how you beat One Piece.
No,
why?
that's shocking.
Because no one wants to buy One Piece and read all of it. That's why.
That's true.
I'm never going to buy that whole catalog.
Aren't there over like 600 One Piece chapters?
It's never ending. It won't end for some reason. It's almost like that GameStop stock. It's like it just keeps going up, and then it's too expensive to get into. It's not worth it.
It's never too late, man. It's never too late. I got one. I just got
It
one.
absolutely is. Sometimes stuff is too far gone, man. Some stuff is just too far gone.
I'm gonna write it out, Demo. I'm gonna write it out, man. I'm gonna ride this out to like $1,000. I'm gonna cash out, man.
Man, let me know. Hey, I'm rooting for you. Now, I don't know what happened to GameStop after this, because GameStop is still GameStop. And you know how I feel about GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop is definitely gonna bomb. It's just a matter of time. Like, this is definitely an unprecedented. That whole GameStop thing is an unprecedented event. You know what I'm saying?
This thing is almost like, look, you're going out of business. This is your opportunity to settle all your debts and just close the books. All right, you got all this money. Do what you must and leave us be.
So Chris, how are you going to feel when GameStop goes out of business from its stock imploding, which is eventually going to happen?
Yeah, this whole stock thing is really unusual, especially since it directly affects my livelihood, right?
Oh, yeah.
GameStop is not a direct competitor to us because they just do things so differently and they focus on modern games, right?
Right.
But, you know, they have been kicking around the idea of retro stores for years now. And if they ever actually put their money into something like what we do at Superbit, they could be tough to deal with, of course, because they have so much behind them. But that said, it seems like the last few years they have been slowly on their way out. And then they've closed hundreds of stores and they've closed all the ones that are around me.
Yeah.
All their good people. I knew a lot of good people that worked there over the years, and all of those people left before. You know, I'm sure they left because I just think it's a tough place to work. So they lose all their good people, and then they don't have a very good public image, do they? So
no.
They have a terrible public image. I've been the first one to say I hate GameStop. GameStop is a terrible place. People who work at GameStop are delusional because they still think they can have a future at GameStop.
Man, I don't know. It's like sometimes I look at these people that work at GameStop and I'm like, what are you doing? It's almost like you're a traitor. Like I'm gonna bring these things in here to you, hoping to trade them in at some type of, decent, return. And you just gonna cut me off at the knees like that. This game, you gonna give me $3 for this game? Yeah. And then I go back in there next week and you selling it for $30. Like, come on, man.
This is Madden. This is Madden. Like $3.
He plays Madden.
So, in closing, I guess, Chris, I want to ask: is there any other information? Like, where can folks find out more about you? Get any details about upcoming events? Any homies you want to thank? Anybody who ever motivated you in the future, that you want to let them know anything? Any kind of shout outs, any kind of plugs, any kind of anything, let the people know.
You can find us on Instagram primarily. It's at Superbit Video Games. So that's pretty much where we'll be posting all information for the foreseeable future. And Thank you guys so much for having me on.
It was a pleasure, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks for being for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you. This is Co-Play Media, and we are out of here.
You've been listening to Co-Play Media with hosts Diers and Demo. For more information on Co-Play Media and the Blerd community, visit coplaymedia.com or the Co-Play Media page at dc.radio.gov.